Yeah, look.
All right.
Wait, I didn't sign anything that you could record me.
Hey, you hopped on. It's my call, baby. All right, I'm muting everybody. Cool. So it'll basically be the same thing as last time. I sent you some questions before, and I can kind of bring those up to you if you can't remember them. We did have one guy that is not going to be able to make it, and that is Max out in Burnaby, Canada. So I'll read his stuff. I'm a terrible reader, so I'm going to read through it first to make sure I can get through it, and then we'll roll from there. So, Bryce, or let's see, Logan was first. Logan, do you want to go? Are you able to do that while you're driving? Cool. I'm gonna ask to unmute you. I don't know if it makes it easier or not. And you are up,
There we
sir.
go. There we go. All right. Remind me of the questions again.
Yep. So the first one is the toughest thing from last quarter. And I also can't type apparently either. So toughest thing that last quarter taught you.
Okay. Um, hmm. I would say the toughest thing that last quarter taught me above all else has got to do a lot with employees and trying to not only retain employees, but really build.
Oh no, he's got
I think
oh.
I had an incident with the manager. What?
It's cutting it out.
We oh, are we? Oh, I might be in between.
You're good. You're all right. Keep
Hmm.
going.
I'll try again. Well, probably the biggest, I think I'll start with what was frustrating with me. What was frustrating mostly was I had a manager that I put into Grand Island. I'm gonna start spinning here when I take this turn. Um, I had a manager I put into Grand Island who he was good for the first couple weeks, and he put in the work, he put in the effort, and I thought he was gonna work out to be really well. And then after 3 weeks or so, he just stopped trying. He stopped caring. He stopped, putting in effort. Not communicating was the big thing, and that was incredibly frustrating because he was getting a nice salary. He had a pretty not easy job, but he had a really lucrative job if you take it seriously and put in the effort, and he wasn't taking it seriously. And that situation, above all else, really frustrated me throughout the last quarter, and it made me start to evaluate a lot about what it takes to have a good team of people, not only for the frontline team in the field, just doing the work, but also for managers. I talk all the time about and with Brandon about, who runs the Columbus location, about their team and about him. But above all else, I think having a good team of people in charge, managers included in that, is going to be the biggest thing that like challenged me this last quarter. If that makes sense, I know I rambled a little bit, but
No, you're good. That was good. Second question is goals from now to the end of the year.
that's a great question. So I actually was talking about that this morning. I think the biggest goal we're going to have between now and the end of the year is going to be trying to set ourselves up the best way we can for next year. So that's going to kind of come in a number of things. One of them being for the next 3 to 4 months, we really want to be able to pull as much cash out of both locations as we can, because my goal is to be able to do another location next year. Ideally, start a third location and then have three managers, one in each of the three locations. But that's going to take a lot of capital that we just don't have right now because we deployed a lot of it this year. So the biggest thing I'm working towards for the rest of this year is to ride out the size that we are now in both locations, five employees in Columbus and two in Grand Island. Really fill that capacity and try to pull out as much cash as we possibly can. And then maybe even be able to hire a manager in Grand Island and start that training process now, so I wouldn't have to do two at once in the spring.
What's revenue in both location, if you don't mind me asking?
Right. Yeah, so last month Columbus did 70, but that included a big deposit for a job. So I would say comfortably between 50 and 60 a month in Columbus. Grand Island sits comfortably between right about 23 a month.
And
So really
are
not
you
too crazy big in Grand Island, but it's nice.
are you one of the two employees in Grand Island, or are you in addition to two employees?
So both of those were in addition to. So there's five in Columbus plus Brandon as the manager, and in Grand Island there's two employees plus me as the manager.
Okay,
So
cool. Cool. The third one is your favorite cut of steak.
cut a steak, man. I'm too young and I don't do any sort of grilling at all.
Oh,
But
come on.
I don't have no idea. I mean, I'm good with something that has no fat and that's medium well. That's what I go for. I'm not one of those bloody steak kind of guys.
All right.
So you guys can hate me all you want. I'm sure I'll
You
get
ain't
it.
even got one.
No, I don't know. I have no idea.
Nice. All right. I'm a little salty about that because me and my wife have a bet on which steak is said the most. So I will
Really?
see
I
that
mean,
one
I
soon.
I could think about it and let you know. How about that?
Yeah, there you go. The fourth one and final one is something you've learned in the last week. It could be anything business, health related, anything, doesn't matter.
Hmm. Let's see. Learned that last week. I thought about these the other day, or when we first got the questions, but I'm kind of forgetting my answers now. Something I learned in the last week. Um, I listen to Tim Ferriss a lot. Tim Ferriss show, and I'm probably sure you guys have probably heard of him or listened to Tim Ferriss. There was someone on there that was talking about like about the universe and about stars and galaxies and stuff. It might have even been like Michio Kaku, who I've listened to on Joe Rogan and stuff before too. And I don't know, nothing specific, but it really just opened my mind about, what we're continuing to learn about space, about the solar system and our place in it. And I think that was something that was really kind of eye opening to me, is not to be down here, but how like insignificant and small the Earth is when you think about, the vastness of our galaxy and our universe and everything beyond it that we just don't know about. So that was something that was really interesting. I think I learned a lot about over the last week.
So to add to that real quick before we go to the next guy, but there's this sermon that we used to watch growing up like once a year. I went to a really small private Christian school, and it was I think it's like Louis Giglio, I think is the guy's name. But he talks about that and he like goes through like if the earth was a like a softball or something and like compares it to other stuff. Like one of them's like a school bus, and then the next thing is like I don't remember what they all were, but it's worth going and
Yeah.
watching. It's like 30 minutes maybe. And it's
Wow.
crazy to see how small you actually are when when
Yeah.
you compare it to that kind of stuff.
I
But
know, it's awesome. I love to learn about space. I love to learn about that stuff because it really just kind of helps put your life into perspective a little bit and help orient you a little bit more.
amen. Cool dude. Thank you. Bryce, you are up, sir.
Awesome. Okay. First question was
Toughest thing that last quarter taught you.
um probably probably I just need to probably fire faster, I guess. I mean, we've had a lot of turnover this year. Um our efficiency score this year has been awful. Really bad. And that's what like when I had my coaching calls with Chuck and Lee, that's what we talked about the most because like everything else looked fine. Um this last couple weeks though, our guys have been making just destroying P4P, really efficient. We're pretty much doing the same budgeted hours with one less guy. I let a guy go last week. I kept that guy around because of the overhire in case you lose one or whatever. Right now we're like if we lost one, that would not be awesome. So either I need to work, I need to be better at training. That's a big issue, at least at my location, in the sense of I just feel like it takes them like a month to just be worth or just be able to grasp anything. So
Yeah.
um, either I need to just be better at training, and I do. I've been called out. Kobe and I are really close, have a great relationship, and he definitely calls me out of like sometimes I'll get really impatient with him, and it doesn't come off very well. Like I'll be like, dude, just figure it out. Like I'm done just babysitting you. And Kobe's always like, well, I mean, doing that sometimes isn't the best strategy. So definitely something I need to look in the mirror and definitely improve and see if there's a way I can train better, be more patient, or hire better. I mean, maybe I missed out on some gems or something. I don't know. So
I
a
think
lot of
we were kind of talking about that in one of our groups this morning, weren't we? About training.
yeah, Connor Sten.
Yeah, I was a little behind, so I couldn't chime in on it. But yeah, it's like everybody has to start at some point, and
Yeah.
it's tough for us because like I was who Thomas, I might have been talking to you, and like I've been doing this for 5 years now, and to get somebody to the point where I am is probably going to take like 5 years of learning
Mm.
and going through all the crap that I've dealt with customers. And like, we had a thing in Bloomington today where a lady said that they would supply the mulch. And like, for me, that's like, absolutely under no circumstances is a customer ever going to supply the mulch. Kyle didn't know that. And so he got everything ready. He's like, where's the mulch? Is it ready? And the lady, oh, I completely forgot. So it kind of screwed us. But it's that same thing. Like, it just takes time. It's hard to realize that on a frontline crew guy who's never touched a weed eater or mower before in his life is like, doesn't understand. I think Connor's was, he didn't know what a boundary was, like on a property.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean you don't?
Yeah.
That's like common
Yeah.
sense. But a lot of
Yeah.
these guys live in apartments. They don't understand it,
Yeah. And then I'd probably say the other biggest one I learned this last quarter was estimating. I took on bigger jobs than I've ever taken on before. And I botched the estimating. Like, budget hours, not freaking close. And like, I was on the jobs with the guys, so I know it wasn't them. Like, we are all, working really hard and all that stuff. So so I just took on some bigger jobs, just trying to get my revenue up because, like I talk with Chuck and Lee all the time, like being in my really small town, it kind of, handcuffs me in a way. Like, it's not like you can't succeed, but I'm saying you just don't get as fast as the growth as a massive city, so it's much slower growth. So I was getting impatient, taking on jobs I wasn't very educated on, and that kind of bit me in the butt. So
Gotcha.
it's what it is.
Cool. The second question is goals from now until the end of the year.
I would like to get Kobe prepared to be the GM at the Vanwart location. I'd love to open a second one, kind of like where I want to live in the future, which is Fort Wayne. Um, my fiance and I talk all the time about living in Fort Wayne. It's kind of where we want to live. I feel like strapped in Vanwart right now because it's slow growth. Like, we're growing every year. Like I think this year we've grown by like 25% from last year. So, we're growing. It's just so slow. Our numbers are there, our close ratios there, our estimates are there, and all that other stuff. But it's just so slow, and I just feel handcuffed. And it's honestly emotionally draining because I really am wanting to move to Fort Wayne so bad. Of my personal side, nothing to do with business, and we have just not been able to do that. And I feel strapped in this town right now, and it's really driving me insane. And it's making me take it out on a lot of people because I'm just getting frustrated. So I think I'm just trying to prepare Kobe. He will kill it. He'll probably do better than me. Honestly, there's a lot of strengths that he has that are my weaknesses by far. And then that way I can move to Fort Wayne and open a second one, and I run that one. That's kind of the goal right now.
Cool. Favorite cut of steak.
So I'm gonna have to be on Logan on this one. I don't know. Like, I eat like every time we go out to eat, which isn't very often, I get steak, but I just get like a sirloin or whatever. And usually if it's like a lower end restaurant, I'll do medium well because I don't like bloody. I'd much rather be overcooked than under. But if we're at like when I say a nice restaurant, I mean like freaking $30 steak, none of those $60 steaks or whatever. I'll get medium because that's kind of like, because I trust they'll cook it right.
Yeah.
But cuts and stuff, I have no idea.
All right, you're letting me down, but I believe you. Fourth one is something you've learned in the last week, anything related to business, health, etc.
I want to say anything specifically with business. Looking back at the last quarter, it's been very eye-opening with business, and I haven't talked to Kobe. But personally, I have really lately been enjoyed because I've been very like frustrated lately with my just taking morning walks. I used to do like morning workouts. Now I'm doing my workouts later in the day, and I'm just going on a walk when it's like cool out. I sometimes I'll play an audible. Sometimes I'll just put earbuds in so like people don't talk to me because like it's kind of a busier area in my town. So they don't, and I won't listen to anything, and I'll just walk, and it flies by. I'll walk it like an hour and it feels like 5 minutes. So that's something I kind of just started like 2 weeks ago, and I'm just gonna carry that on and keep doing that.
Cool. Very good. Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate it. You're now muted. No more talking. Thomas and Issaquah, let's hear it. We just got off the phone for like 30, 45 minutes, an hour or something. Feel like that's
Well, I already answered all the questions on the phone call.
No wonder we're not getting anything done around here.
Oh, Brandon's here too. Awesome. Cool.
All right, first
Alrighty,
question.
boys. First one is the toughest thing that this quarter has taught you guys.
I'd probably say we were really honing in a lot of stuff that we learned last year, but this last quarter would probably be hiring and retaining good employees and probably budgeting hours. We just finally got that figured out, like I'd say about a month ago.
As far
Even
as
though
what
we've
you
been
can handle.
what the employees can handle.
Okay.
Yeah, so like we were still over budgeting people, I feel like, way too much in spring, and it caused like we were thinking, okay, they can handle this many hours, but then some small thing would happen and just like blow up the amount of hours, right? That would cause the issue. So we honed down on that. We now budget, people 30, 32 hours a week, and it's been going pretty solid for us and really figuring that out. Then the other thing is just being more aggressive with hiring. We've been kind of like in and out of hiring, and it's almost been like one of those things that we put at the wayside, but we've kind of put our foot back on the gas for that. So that's I feel like the biggest point for us was getting those two things kind of figured out from last quarter.
Cool. The second question is the goal from the end of the year, or from now until the end of the year.
Kind of piggies back to the first question of getting enough people hired for the trucks. We have 7 trucks now. We're trying to basically just double up every truck and keep the momentum going with all the jobs and stuff, and just keep selling as much as we can to fill those trucks, and just do the same thing as Logan's doing, where we just try and pull as much money out of the business to prepare for next year.
Cool. Favorite cut of steak.
I would probably say flank, but Brandon said like Dumontre or some weird name.
Dumontre, Delmonico.
I don't even know what that is.
I've had that. Oh, Connor's trying to get in. Cool. Yeah, I've had one of those. There's a good. Sweet.
I've never heard of that before.
Told you.
Okay.
He's got that money. Number 4 is something you have learned in the last week. It could be anything.
Probably just like the stretch of patience and like how fast the ebbs and flows of business and personal life can go, and really starting to hone in on like your emotions and using that kind of as like a medium point to keep yourself level, because it's really easy to lose sight of your goals and who you are. And so it's just like having that reset constantly and just being reminded of like where you're going. It's kind of one of my personal takeaways from last week.
Cool. Very good. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. And the new guy that just joined, Connor, you're up, guy.
What to do, buddy? Buddies, I guess I should say.
Mr. Late, busy at church or something.
I am. I'm on the worship team here, so I was playing for everybody.
Yeah, you better do that. Cool, man. All right. We're just going through those questions I sent out. So the first one is the toughest thing from this last quarter. What have you learned?
I think you muted me again.
Potential.
Oh, one of the toughest things I learned this quarter, when everything's great, double check your guys. When everything's going a little too good or a little too comfortable, definitely double check your guys. We had definitely had some stuff that was just abuse, basically, of the trust of the systems. And then I knew I should have been trying to hire people. So I guess just trust your gut, because like I had a weird feeling like there's no way some of these properties are getting done that quick. Like there's just no way. I mean, I get that he was literally running on the properties because I've watched him do it whenever we're working, but like there's just yeah, there was just lying, deceits, and then ends up stealing some equipment on his way out. So that's always lovely. So trust your gut, even if there's a weird feeling. Evansville, or at least Indiana,